Hey everybody, welcome to the Rosalie Elliott Show. It's perfect for you. Ah, she's like singing out of my soul. Sometimes we get lost in our own little world, but it's all so much bigger than we realize. Well, we are going on a special journey, finally reviewing more from the band NIGHTWISH. As you know, from very early on with this channel, I was starting to review NIGHTWISH, was introduced to them. Big shout out to Brandon from That's Not Acting Either. Go check out his YouTube channel. We did a collab together, and that's kind of how what kickstarted the journey with NIGHTWISH. Many of you have come here because of them, and it's been a minute since I've reacted to their music. So we're going to check them out. If you don't know NIGHTWISH, I have a big favor to ask. Go check them out on YouTube, subscribe to them if you like, listen to their work, and comment on their videos. Not just here, leave a comment here too, but subscribe there and let them know that I sent you. If this channel, this video is introducing you to that band. That way these artists can see that reactors are adding value with their commentary, with their intellectual property to the work, not trying to steal it. That is very helpful. Bands like NIGHTWISH often do put claims on the videos, which is fine. This is their work. But it would help if bands like NIGHTWISH and many others see that we're out here just pushing a whole new target audience to these artists that may have not otherwise heard about them. So if you're new to NIGHTWISH, go check them out. Tell them Rosalie Elliott sent you. And enjoy with me a brand new song by NIGHTWISH, put out just about 2 weeks ago, almost at 1 million views already. The Day of ... Ooh, snap. Are you ready? Subscribe. And, yep, we are rolling. And if you're new, please leave a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. What do you love about the band, NIGHTWISH? Who's been your favorite singer so far? They've had a few different ones. I have not listened to much of the songs that have included Tarja Turunen and others, but I still want to do that. But I am still learning my way through the band and the band members, and I'm excited to see what this one's about. Here we go.
A new virus has now been discovered. You may be infected by mundane groceries.
In an unprecedented turn of events, astronomers have recalculated the flight
Several
path
people
of
have been evacuated from the site, but approximately...
Take shelter, skies are humming, Armageddon second coming, War of the Worlds, the end of history. Take shelter, floods are rising, the wrath of thunder is drumming, end of days for mankind and for your kin. For those empty moments, fear more, in this grave new world of 84, fast death, last breath, AI to kill us all. Horse waste, covering London, Martians among us, Y2K, horde all aboard, the end is near.
Oh, very interesting. The whole idea here of almost this virus, this dead-looking, crusty, dusty, musty faces, the eye drops, almost like waking up these zombie-like looking creatures to looking at a screen. Pay attention to that. These references to 84. Is that a reference to the book by George Orwell, 1984? Is that a reference to the events of 1984? Big events in politics like Ronald Reagan winning the re-election as president, the Olympics, space, Sally becoming one of the first American women in space, Apple releasing the Macintosh computer. There was big things that happened in 84, but there was also that novel we know about by George Orwell. And then speaking of Y2K, right, the year 2000, that's when we thought that everything would collapse and everyone was afraid that everything was going to go to hell. Interesting references here. And then all while looking at the screen, these zombie-like creatures and the eye drops. Interesting. It's called The Day of. Wow. Guys, real quick. These wheels and these I can't think of the word. What is it? These wheels, they make me feel like it's a reference to the industrial age, right? Those gears could be a reference to time, right? There's nothing new. It's constantly the same old story. And we'll talk about that in a second. But also to the industrial age, maybe. And also even here, the scientist looking at or observing something. It perhaps similar to their song, Perfume of the Timeless, this beautiful poetic journey they're taking us on from the modern day indoctrination of the media and the doom and the gloom and the fear mongering we're experiencing, always something scary to be worried about. But now maybe even taking us on a time journey back in time, right? Where we were exploring, where science was in motion, where we have the gears, those wheels of time, and the industrial age. Things are advancing, developing, a good thing. But is it always good, right? There's a pros and cons to everything. There's that dichotomy between the beauty of development and the danger in being so consumed in what's next that we're terrified. But I digress.
It's a long road to a dream world, all the pain and suffering to feel for. It's there, but yours is an empty summer. Made up the sun rising, made sense of aqua's flying. Time for another fear made real. A need to feel dread bloom or a lustful never-ending downpour. A magic evil walks among us. Stay awake, cover up, fear the words that feed, feed the young beast. Hide the unshut guns, the end is fear. We are the ill-starred kids of your junkyard. The innocent diamonds unscarred. The moment of our lady. So many times past the we are the ill-starred kids of the junkyard.
That was beautiful. Wow. 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 This was really well made. This whole music video, movie, dare I say. I love how they were floating out into the stars and then how the stars became blurry. It all just became one. And to me, that makes me just feel like it's all so connected. And it felt scary, it felt intense, but yet somehow ended hopeful as they were fading and breaking apart into dust particles, back to the stars, if you will. It almost felt hopeful and humbling. But let's talk about that. So this song, we'll look at the lyrics in a minute. This song from its composition has that beautiful Nightwish signature. We have the symphonic metal. We have Floriansen's epic operatic voice, the way she hit those high notes in the end, taking everything an octave higher. Beautiful, beautiful modulation. We have the drums tightly carrying everything together, the guitar, the bass. We have a beautiful composition, the strings adding a lot of emotion, a lot of staccato, that crescendo building, bringing in excitement. It's just this beautiful music you imagine in these epic war movies and these epic fighting scenes and these epic sci-fi movies. Just the perfect, right? Movie, the score, the perfect score for music, for movies. Okay? Then you have lyrics that are very poetic, very profound, constantly, just in every different song by Nightwish, a lot of poetry, literary art, a lot of meaning, different ways to interpret. And their music videos just getting better and better and better. Very advanced. Okay? I love how this started. Before we even dive into the lyrics, to me, I felt like from the get-go, Floriansen, all crusted up, looking like she is a walking dead person, a walking zombie, if you will. Funny, though, that it looked very earthy, almost like a clay mask that dries. And to me, that could be a nod to how we are made from dust and back to dust, into the stars we return. Perhaps a reflection of, how much we are connected with Earth. But also perhaps this picture of looking like a zombie, looking like someone who is not themselves. We can't see the pure skin behind it. There is a facade. It's crusty. It's there's something blocking it. Something impure. It's blocking it. It's in the way, but it's trying to break free. Different ways to poetically interpret that. She is walking around in front of this massive screen, as you saw, injecting what looks like eye drops into her fellow. I'll call them zombies, even though they didn't look quite just like zombies, but like dead people, crusty, dusty, musty, and you have these people here that are now almost like waking up. Their eyes are opened through these drops. And at first I perceived it as the idea of indoctrination, right? Those drops are being fed. Oh my goodness. And we see that in the media, right? If it's not political agendas that are being dropped into our eyes, then it's this fear of, oh my goodness, there's another virus. We're all going to die. She references, the lyrics reference 84. Again, perhaps the George Orwell novel reference or references to events of 84. Then the reference to Y2K, the big 2000. I remember that distinctly, that fear of everything's going to fall apart, we're all going to die, everything's going to shut down, make sure you have your water and your milk, etc. Many events since then, COVID, 2020, the different years where people were afraid everything was going to come crumbling down. And even still, plenty of people that believe it's happening. From a religious perspective, the Messiah is coming back, Jesus is coming back, prepare yourself. Plenty of religious groups that had the day and the time figured out, and then Jesus didn't come, and then they had to recalculate. To people that argue it literally is written, we don't know the day and the hour. To people that deny religion or God altogether, that may not necessarily be consumed by it from a religious standpoint, but still experience fear if we are to expose ourselves to enough news and media. And if it's not doom and gloom and politics or disease, it's our own fears in the day-to-day. It doesn't even have to be something as massive as worldwide. It could be nationwide, where we don't feel like it's on our side, where we feel like, something bad may happen. It could be personal. Someone in our own life, someone is diagnosed with a sickness, an impending divorce, a separation, things ending. There's crisis, there's dismay, okay? And so we're constantly consumed by this. Even if we don't watch the news, we just stay off of social media, it's all around. In the stores, you already have holiday merchandise. A day after the last one is over, the next appears. You have billboards and magazines. You have people walking around, right, wanting our attention, begging of us. Unless you're somewhere a recluse in the mountains, you're going to be exposed by stimuli on social media, digital, virtual, physical. In our own mind, plenty of us have plenty of battlefields in our own mind going on, right? Which is why Hiram is so powerful to people, because there's a huge need for people to be seen, to be understood. They're feeling validated. Yes, I have this battle inside, the dark and the light. Okay, so everyone is somehow being bombarded in one way or another. And these eye drops to me kind of represented that indoctrination. But it could also be interpreted as the eye drops that are necessary to open our eyes to see what's going on. You could take it both ways. Either way, these crusty, dusty people are looking at the screen. Now things really go haywire. They're being sucked in. The facial expressions are that of terror and fear, right? And they're being pulled into that screen, now floating out almost like ghosts. That too could be taken in different ways. I take that as being sucked in by the fear, being sucked in by the worry, but also perhaps becoming a shell, a ghost of yourself, because you're no longer existing, walking, present, alert, and aware to yourself. Kind of like Rush says in the Red Barchata song, where it speaks of every nerve was aware when driving that car, right? How many times can we say every part of me is aware and alive right now? How many times do we go through the motion and we're floating around like ghosts? But either way, they're drifting. They're not actively walking, making decisions, taking control of their life. They're drifting and being pulled away through space, through time. And we'll talk about the lyrics in a second. It goes deeper into all these events, all this fear. The harmonies and the unison, the choral elements were powerful. Both the what was like a children's choir at one point to then Floriansen singing again. The crescendo with the instrumentation. A lot of movement here. Many layers to this beautiful cake of a song, The Day Of. And I love how it's called The Day Of ... because you can really insert what you want it to end. The day of doom, the day of disaster, the day of the Lord, the day of his return, the day of impending death, the day of hope, the day of life, right? What are we going to end with? And I like that they left that open, because we get to choose what is going to be the end of that sentence for you. The day of what? What are you going to make this day? And so the way that they're floating into space, and then even the earth looked crusty and very similar to their skin, crusty and fading away. Is this a reflection of how the earth is ending, how it's going to fall apart, right? As we see in the Perfume of the Timeless, this walk through through evolution and creation, is this now giving us a foreshadow of what we're assuming may happen, and then we drift back into space? Is this a picture of how we're trying to make our way into space, to Mars and other planets, because we're not taking care of planet Earth properly? Or is it a reflection of life and death? As the Earth fades, as we go back to dust, we're fading into the stars, going back to where we came from, stardust. And as they were breaking into particles, it somehow seemed peaceful, though. It somehow seemed comforting, especially as the lights became blurry. The vision went away, and that was kind of powerful too. It ended with eye drops and giving people sight, opening eyes. But to what? To fear and death? Or open eyes to see that maybe there's agenda here. And then at the end, the eyesight going away again, things getting blurry again. But maybe in a peaceful way. And that's, I guess, depends on how we interpret it. It could mean, oh crap, full circle. Started with lack of eyesight, now we're back to blurry eyesight. Or is this a positive thing, right? We're fading into eternity, and we have to understand that death will come. And I think a lot of these things, when we are fear-mongers and when we are polarized and we pick a side politically and we worry and we debate and we want to be seen and heard and we comment, a lot of that, I believe, and there's different theories, of course, but psychologically, I believe it ties to our existential fears. Sometimes a death anxiety, conscious or subconscious, a desire to be successful, to be heard and seen, right? Do we really exist if we're not being perceived by another, right? I need to not only exist in myself and perceive myself in the mirror, but I exist by being perceived by you, by seeing myself reflected in your eyes, by seeing myself reflected in the response you give me, the way you react to me and engage with me. When I look in the mirror, there's a reflection. I'm experiencing myself outside of myself. And then you have elements of, that the desire to be seen, the desire to be known, self-realization, right? We have those, the hierarchy of needs. When we look at Maslow's theory, you have existential theories, right? This death anxiety, a fear of loneliness, right? Sometimes we get sucked in by the fear mongering because we don't want to be alone. We've got to pick a side, right? We don't want to be alone. We want to belong. And this person's values semi-align with mine or fully align with mine. So I'll join them, or I'll villainize the other side because that's who I am. That's my identity. I'm the opposite, right? We distinguish and define ourselves by how much we belong, how much we differentiate, and everything in between. There's a fear of loneliness when it comes to our existentialism. There's a fear of death, right? The impending end of it all. What does that mean? Are we gone for good? Will we be gone? Is that it? Or will we come back in a different form? Will we be in the stars? Will we go to heaven? Different faiths that give us comfort, or sometimes a lack thereof. Some people find comfort in science and in accepting, I don't believe in God. There's just nothing. Others say, I can't comprehend no God. This is too brilliant and beautiful and intelligent. Different theories, okay? And that's all right. I don't have all the answers. I used to be much quicker at wanting to have a good answer, and I know that I know. And now I look back on myself and I shake my head at my younger self because I didn't know that I know. I thought that I thought, or believed that I believed. And now there's certain things that I choose to believe and have faith in, and there's certain things that I don't understand. And then there's a lot in between. But I think we all have different ways, all that to say, of dealing with our death anxieties. And then when it comes to existentialism, there's also the element of freedom, a desire for freedom. Not only freedom physically, not to be behind bars and restrained physically, but free to pursue our dreams, free to be ourselves. And when it comes to all these news, right, the theories that we find in the book of 1984 by Orwell, or we see the fears that were present in Y2K, I think it was beyond just, oh no, what if all computers shut down and the world crashes? Oh no, what if a system falls down and we're, manipulated by the government and we become slaves and ruled by something we don't want to be ruled by. These different events, or COVID, right? Oh, I have to wear a mask. I have to distance. I'm being told this. You have polarizing. No, I want my freedom. Don't tell me what to put over my face. Don't tell me that I'm going to die. Those trigger existential fears. But the opposite too, right? A person going, no, you have to wear a mask. If you don't wear one, that means you don't care about me. I think ultimately everybody wanting the same thing, freedom to either not get sick, or freedom to not have to wear something you don't want to wear, or freedom to not be exposed, or freedom to be. Even now you see that in politics, you have these different sides. One side going, I want freedom over my body, and the other side going, me too, you can't take my guns. And the other side saying, no, you shouldn't have to have such guns, but you're not going to have control over what I do or don't do with my body. And debates about, well, is it my body if there's another body within my body? And, the debates will go on and on for days. But at the end of the day, we have a lot in common. Any side wants freedom, does not want to be alone, is afraid of death. And I'm not, when I say these things, assuming just general blanket statement, because everyone's different. There are people who are truly not afraid of death. They feel peace with the fact that whatever they have chosen to believe about death is what's going to happen. There are people who are okay with being alone and love themselves. They're okay with being with themselves, or they have healthy relationships. There are people who, have their freedom or have found a way to find freedom and, take control of their life. I'm not trying to make a blanket statement about everyone for everything, but I think in general, there is a similarity in the human race for our desire to express ourselves, to pursue freedom to pursue happiness, freedom to love, freedom to create. We want to live life fully. We want life to have meaning, right? We want to know who we are. There are things that, though we're all very unique, we share in common. And I think this song ties into how all these things that we are assuming the day of is going to be affect us, and they pull us in, and they layer this crusty skin of dirt over our bodies that needs to break, I suppose you could say. Take shelter, skies are humming, Armageddon, second coming. Okay, so references here to all the things people are waiting for or assuming is going to happen. Second coming of Christ, Armageddon, take shelter, oh no, the skies, war of the worlds, end of history, floods are rising, right? It's very doom and gloom. The things that we've been talking about as old as time. Fill those empty moments, fear more in this grave new world of 84, fast death, last breath, AI to kill us all. Wow. So really talking about the past, the present, the future, all the things that are scaring people. Horse waste covering London, Martians among us, Y2K. Okay, so all these theories out there that constantly something we're afraid of. Oh, it's the aliens, it's Y2K, it's the day of the Lord, always the day of something we're waiting for. We are the ill, starved kids of your junkyard. The innocent island unscarred, the moment of our nadir, so many times past the due date. Too late, gather up, it's the day of. Interesting. So many times it's past that due date. That day that was supposed to come past, and it never happened. Purgatory, same old story. Cower before a caliphate glory. Powerful poetic literature here. Bonson, amazing. Here's a million ropes for the hangman. Nightmare for the Sandman. Wow. Mind virus, fear of the well-known, keep us safe. Hey, and here even too, right? This idea of, man, keep us safe. We need some type of security. Too many for our mother. Speaking of Mother Earth, perhaps. Crops will burn, so why bother? Okay, maybe this mindset that some have. What's the point? It's all going to burn anyways. A new strain sent you back into your cave. Obey, stay away, cover up. Ooh. Makes me think of those COVID days. Fear the words. Feeding humanity. Hide the unshot guns and the crippled dancing. Blah. We're the ill-starved kids of your junkyard. And maybe also here calling out the system, those in power that are playing those games. Now, of course, we have a decision what to do with the information we're given, if we're going to give into the agendas or not. But those games that are being played, we end up being the ill-starved children of that junkyard, of this mess. It's not a playground, it's a junkyard that's being created. What are we going to do about it? It's a long road to a dream world, all the pain and suffering to feel for. It's there, but yours is an empty sermon. Really calling out some of the emptiness of some of these sermons, right? Not just Christian sermons, any type of speech by a politician, in religion, by anybody. It's empty if we're tackling this from the wrong angle, which is fear and just waiting for the day of something. What about now? Made up the sun rising, made sense of it was flying. Time for another fear made real. A need to feel dread, gloom, awe. A lust for never-ending doom porn. Ooh, wow. That's a very provocative and challenging thought. That constant just lust for never-ending doom. It's almost like we crave this disaster. A man-shaped evil walks among us. Man-shaped, right? I like that was said. It's not God-shaped. It's not outside. It's man-shaped. We made it. We create this evil, and it walks among us. We're feeding it, right? We're making this. Obey, stay away, cover up, fear the words. We are the ill-starved kids of the junkyard, the innocent island. And I like that they use the kids choir at one point because it speaks of starved kids. Not only because we are those children, need to parent ourselves, but also because we need to think of our children, the next generation. The innocent island, unscarred, the moment of our nadir. So many times past, we are the ill-starved kids. And then that repeats and tags. So many times past the due date. And that's interesting since we're speaking of children, right? And there is a due date when you're pregnant with a child, but also speaking of the day of and understanding this day of that we're waiting for. We keep passing that due date and nothing's happening until what? We go back and fade into the stars like we see in the music video. Very, very challenging, truthful, in my opinion, song that is poetically and powerfully put into a project. Sheesh. Nightwish. What do you guys think? Have you ever heard of Nightwish, or was this your first encounter? If so, go check them out. Let them know I brought you. And if you are a Nightwish fan, what do you think of my analysis? What are your thoughts on this? I hope you watch till the end. If you do, shout out to you. Subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss a thing, and I'll see you on the next ride. Heyo!